started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now...
That's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it was just, it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all. And just before Chris goes, no, I'm kidding, Chris, you can actually go now.
no, hold on.
We had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had, hold on. All right. Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So, an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. Yeah, he's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
Think, oh yeah, I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No! He is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Well, hello, everyone. And the city of Calgary and Flame fans are feeling a little bit of a struggle right now. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network, as we are... Oops, hang on. Let me just do that. There we go. And then, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network, as it is the long weekend, and it is a interesting time in the land of Calgary where the heat is on literally, figuratively, and what is the other word that I want to use here? I had a...
Metaphorically?
And for real, the heat is on in Calgary. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Hey, Kev. I'm doing all right. It was quite the weekend here. We got 2 Battle of Alberta games. One on Saturday and one on Friday, and one on the halt on Sunday, and on this great long weekend. The results did not go the way that this town wanted, but it was still a great weekend.
Good. Devin tried for the morning skate. He couldn't make it. He's the Chris Tanev of our podcast right now. We'll have to get into him. Tyler and Chris unavailable. Chris is the Daryl Sutter / Jay Woodcroft of our podcast, doing some preparation for the week, using the coach paraphernalia there, I think. And then Tyler also not available, probably studying the officiating of the week, maybe. Who knows what he's that. Okay, so I guess we'll start with what's going on here. I mean, we've been doing our recaps. This is sort of the game 3. This is the game 3 recap. We'll touch on everything else. Maybe we'll start with you, because I've said a bit of my piece, and I have some things to say. But where are you at? What have you, as the non-Flames fan, what are you seeing from this series? I guess you may come across more objectively than I am, although we'll get into that from my perspective here in a moment. But I want to hear from you.
This is the second series in a row. The Flames have let the other team dictate how the series is going to be played and what style. And they were the more skilled team versus Dallas, and they let the Dallas sort of grind them down. And then they playing up against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and the high-flying Oilers. And in the first 2 games specifically, they were trading punches with them, and it's not going to be successful. So I think it really feels like they need to get their identity back, get their structure back, and so they can find a way to shut down that loaded first line that the Oilers have put together for this series.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm of 2 minds here, because there's a part of me that, I look at this and I see what you're saying, and I would dare even go even further in this and go deeper down this Flames rabbit hole. This might be the 4th consecutive playoff series that they've let the other team dictate the pace of the series. The Flames have a history of letting other teams dictate the pace of the series. If we could let's be really deeply honest about this, because I'm gonna go here. And because I think that there's a lot to still, when you're looking at this series, there's some underlying things that, maybe it may not be as bad as it outside looks, but there are definitely some things that, from the Flames perspective, there are some issues. I was watching a couple of tweets conversations last night, and there were a lot of people who were like, look, it was 2-1 against Dallas, but this is not the same. Dallas didn't have McDavid or Draisaitl. They had Ottinger, who was unreal, and McDavid is unreal. And I think that's the first place you got to start here. Right? I mean, you have to acknowledge that Connor McDavid is playing at a pace that we have just never seen him specifically play at. He's taken his game to another level, and that should absolutely be commended. Leon Draisaitl, I think, deserves a hell of a lot of praise, just for the way he's playing on one leg. He's playing literally on one leg. He's doing this on one leg. The first line deserves all the credit. Zach Hyman has been, I think, a guy completely overlooked by a lot of people right now. Is that with the play of Zach Hyman, I think, has been a huge difference as well. So, there are some things from the Oilers' perspective to give credit for. And this is, okay, so this is, I grew up in the 80s, watched this team. I had to literally blank this out, but, I'm sorry for the long diatribe here, but I remember the Flames and the Oilers back in the early 80s. It was 11-3. It was 12-4, 9-1. The Flames were getting beat physically, mentally, and literally on the scoreboard, in the fist fights, every area which way. The Oilers were just killing the Flames until 1986 comes around. Flames make a couple of trades. They get the Joe Mullen trade. They get the John Tonelli, Dick Fotillo, all of that. They turn the series around, but it's turning around. They win that series. But then 88 happens. The Flames are the favorites. The Flames are the President's Trophy winners. We'll touch on that in a moment here. The Oilers sweep them. And then not just like it was like tonight watching Tampa and Florida, but it was, the Oilers killed the Flames, just blurted the Flames. The Oilers trade Wayne Gretzky. Flames win the Cup in 89. 1991 comes around. They can't beat the Oilers again. And they had a huge lead, by the way, in Game 7. They had a 3-goal lead in Game 7. And they blew the lead. Esa Tikkanen scores in overtime. So I've seen all this. This is part of me that is just this. The child in me is watching this with a lot of frustration, because I am seeing some themes again. Yes, look at the parallels here. The Oilers had Wayne Gretzky, the best player on the planet. The Oilers have now Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet. Sort of a similar, you can see the similarities there in terms of 99, 97. But correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. Do we not, on the Calgary Flames, have a Selke Trophy nominated center, and 2 players, one of them was in the discussion to be in the Hart Trophy conversation? I put my hand up and put him in there, by the way. And another player on this line that got 100 points this year and is asking for $8 million or more, and was considered the best line in the National Hockey League. Do we not? Is that not there in Calgary, or did they decide to take a vacation and we just forget about that?
Well, I think you could argue that after Game 1, they've taken a vacation.
They have been fucking horrible, especially Matthew Tkachuk, especially Elias Lindholm. They have both been absolutely fucking terrible. Matthew Tkachuk has been the laziest player in this entire series. There was a play in the third period. Puck is going down. I think it was Kulak going down. Here's Tkachuk with one hand on his stick trying to fly by to get one hand the stick behind him to carry the puck. It's just fucking lazy hockey. Lazy, stupid, shitty hockey from a guy that wants $8 million a year. I am so tired of the selfish act of Matthew Tkachuk. He comes when it's convenient, but when it's clutch time, this guy has done fuck all in the playoffs. I could give a shit about his hat trick in game one. I really could. One of them was in an empty net. That was a weird game. When it actually has mattered, Matthew Tkachuk has done fuck all. And there's a legitimate argument that if I was not having this behind and this in front, and he wasn't picked ahead of Olli Juolevi, we would be having conversations about Matthew Tkachuk being one of the most overrated players in the National Hockey League. Sorry, I am right now not entirely convinced he's worth the $8 million. This has been a shit show from him, and this has not just been game 2, game 3. This has been an entire 10-game playoff series, and this has been a playoff career. And I don't know what's wrong with Elias Lindholm, but he has virtually disappeared. He is nowhere near as effective in this playoff as he was during the regular season. It's just, to me, everyone has taken the shots. The defense has not been good, and I totally agree with that. But the forward group as a whole, and specifically center ice position, and in that first line has been fucking dreadful. That is what has been bothering me the most, is because through the history of this, Oilers' top players show up. Flames' top players, look it up. Theron Fleury, as much as that classic slide down the ice, Sean, that everyone is watching that slide down the ice. Wow, what a goal by Theron Fleury. That was his first goal in that series. The Flames' number 1 players have never, ever shown up at a series of the Battle of Alberta. Never. And it's time for these fucking first liners to show the fuck up. I am tired of this lazy bullshit. And I'm specifically tired of that lazy bullshit from Tkachuk. At least Johnny Gaudreau is trying. But Matthew Tkachuk, this is a fucking embarrassment. I'm sorry. Just unbelievable. And I don't give a shit if someone is telling me he's hurt. You said this about JT Miller. You said this. If this guy wants to be a leader, he needs to show up and lead. He has not done it. Oh.
Wow, Kev. I felt like you really needed to get that off your chest.
It has been years of frustration following the Flames and watching the same damn habits over and over and over and over again. And I don't care if you change the Yari Curry room to the Lanny McDonald room. You've got to start having some damn pride in that jersey. And if it was 4-3 last night and Connor McDavid was just that much better than the Flames' number 1 line, I would say, okay, hey, that was a great performance. Congratulations. But Elias Lindholm, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk were combined 12 shots and -7. That's a wonderful temperature for December. Not a good plus-minus for May long weekend. And we laughed, by the way, when Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and Darnell Nurse were a combined -10 or 11 during that 9-5 shit show. Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk deserve that same criticism.
Yeah, you definitely.
I think I feel like I've thrown you off there.
I'm not used to angry Kevin. Normally it's me that's ranting. You look at if you take game 1 out of this series, it's been pretty even. And when that's the case, you need your top stars to be difference makers. And you know who else needs to step the fuck up? Because going into this series, what was one spot that you thought that the Flames had a massive or had a good sized edge going into the series?
One of them wore the same jersey as a player in 1988 named Rob Ramage, who the Oilers just murdered, and that's Noah Hanifin. Rasmus Hanifin and Noah Hanifin also have not been good, and they haven't really been that good in this entire playoffs, to be honest with you. You're right. Am I going the same place that you are going?
Well, yes and no, because they've also been out. Markstrom has been out goaltended in this series as well.
From last night, I thought he got a little bit. He was left out to dry in the first half of that game. So I kind of wanted, he hasn't been good. I agree with you. He was better last night, and I feel like that was a wasted game because he was better I thought that was the whole team. Like there was two bad line changes that led to goals. So, he was kind of left on his own, but I do agree with you. Mike Smith, the guy that was no one wanted and everybody is laughing at, has been better than the $6 million goaltender, Jacob Markstrom. I totally agree with you. But again, this is the point. The top guys for the Flames don't show up.
And then I think not having Tanev to be the calming force on that blue line's hurt. And he's also just a lack of structure and a lack of identity of this team. They were the division winners, and they're not playing like it. They are not playing like the team that won that division. They're not playing like the team that was one of the people were. They were probably top 2 or 3 in betting favorites to win the cup this year, going into the playoffs, and they're not playing like it because they aren't playing to their strengths.
Yeah, they're letting, and it's not, as much as, again, everybody is putting this on McDavid, and I think that that's a huge part of this. But what McDavid has done, and what the Flames' number one line players haven't done, is McDavid is dragging the team into the fight. So you're getting Zach Kassian and Josh Archibald hitting. You're getting Brett Kulak playing, I think, a little bit above his pay grade, quite frankly, but he's doing his job. You're getting Cody Ceci fighting back from it. You're getting all of these other little things. The Oilers getting the advantage of those little things because Connor McDavid is showing that leadership that the Flames group is not showing. So they are winning all the little detail, every little detail part in this that's to the Oilers' advantage. And it just looks to me, from my own eyes, that the Oilers right now want this more than the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, they do. And the Flames need to find that next gear. And it's definitely something that some teams struggle with. Look at the Panthers are 2 minutes away from being swept out of the second round, and they were the President's Trophy winning team.
Yep.
The regular season and the playoffs are different animals, and completely different. It's a completely different game. Same sport, different game because of its series matchups, and adjustments are so much more important in playoffs. So yeah, you have to figure out learning how to win in the playoffs. I feel like gets talked about a lot, but I don't think there's enough talk into what that actually entails. And a lot of people just think that's just code for just code for learning how to handle the physicality, learning how to fight through it and be more physical. No, it's part of it because of that. That's the style of hockey that just comes out in the playoffs. But it's, again, learning how to adjust on the fly, learning how to see what a team's doing to try and shut you down, or what they're exploiting, and make a change on that, and see what you can do to exploit something else back, or find a way to beat that strategy and defensive style again that this other team is employing.
It's also a mental game too. I think that this has a lot to do with that. And there was a couple of plays in the first period that I refer back to that I'm thinking about from yesterday. Matthew Tkachuk tries to hit Connor McDavid. McDavid stood him up. Tkachuk went down. That to me just said that this looked to me that McDavid's, again, that was an example the Oilers wanted. But the more disastrous one to me was when Noah Hannafin is going back into his corner, and he's like, he's taking a Sunday stroll to the Alberta legislature, it looks like, just kind of hanging out there, and Connor McDavid got off the bench. And this is not the first time he did it, because he did it in game 2. And he just flew down there and took the puck and got an opportunity. Like, it's just, that tells me that one team wants it more than the other. That is what that's telling me. Like, this is just, it's been a bit of a country club. Everything feels fine. We're going to be okay because we are the favorites and we're the team with the home ice advantage. And, we scored 9 on them twice. We scored 6 on them once. We'll be fine because Mike Smith is a terrible goal. That's what this is feeling like. It feels like they are playing to the betting odds and they're not actually playing the game. And I think that's the part, like the little details. That's all Oilers. That is all Oilers right now.
And wasn't that everything you said? Isn't that why they brought in Daryl Sutter?
Can I be honest with you? He's being outcoached by Jay Woodcroft. And
I have a hard time saying it's being outcoached when you've basically got 2 of the top 10 players in the league on one line. And the most dangerous player in the league when he has the puck on leading the way.
You know what?
If he is being out coached, it's not by much. And again, I think it still comes down to the players here. I wouldn't look at coaching as a major issue here, unless the Flames aren't listening, because then it's that's a part of coaching, right? And I think it comes down to the Flames players needing the top players needing to step up here.
I think ultimately it is about the top players. I think that's the big thing, but look at this. I pulled this up because game 1, the Oilers scored 3 goals in 9 minutes and 43 seconds. Game 2, that was when they made it 6. It was 6-2, and then it came 6-5. Game 2, when it was tied at 3, 2 goals in 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That was the Hyman shorthanded breakaway, and then the Draisaitl breakaway. Game 3, 2 goals in 51 seconds. Those were from Evander Kane. 3 goals in 6 minutes, which you include the Zach Hyman power play goal early in that wasn't a power play goal. That was just after a power play. It was close. But those 4 goals were in 12 minutes and 58 seconds. The Oilers are scoring their goals in bunches. And that just tells me another area that the Flames are not paying attention to detail to. Because you're not ready. You're either frazzled about the fact that you got a goal scored on you, and you're just not figuring that out, and you're just letting everything hang. And the Oilers have quickly responded even to goals when the Flames have scored. It's not been, they had it was 2-0, and then they didn't score for the rest of the period. They're responding to goals they've responded really quickly, like overall in this series. It's just, to me, right now, the Oilers are paying more attention to detail, and their top guys are paying more attention to detail than the Flames are.
And again, I think that comes down to the players. Like, these coaches can harp on that and stress that until their voices are hoarse, but until these players actually do it, I think that's why I think it's on the players here, and I think there's just an execution error on the ice for the Flames for the most part.
Now, to go to the defense of this, let's stay on the forwards. I think this is easy to blame on the defense here for a little. We'll get to the defense in a second. Another guy that has really struggled, Calle Jarnkrok, has having a tough time. I mean, you're more the natural stats trick guy than I am. Here's the flat stat. Calle Jarnkrok has not scored a goal since he has worn a Calgary Flames jersey. That's the fact. And I don't think he's been fine in the faceoff circle, but I don't think he's done a lot much else here. I think Dylan Dubé is giving a yeoman's effort, but that line hasn't been good enough either.
Yeah.
And, I think there's a lot of people on the fourth line. I'm seeing a lot of people, we'll get to Lucic in a second here, but I see a lot of people mad at Trevor Lewis. I don't think Trevor Lewis has been a problem. Trevor Lewis, Brett Ritchie, and Milan Lucic are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Create some havoc, be physical, try to get on face-off in the offensive zone. Trevor Lewis took 2 penalties yesterday. I thought the second penalty, to be honest with you, was a really soft call. That was just, there have been soft calls both ways. I'm not saying that the Oilers, I'm not going to say that the reffing has been favored to one side or another. We'll get to that in a second here too. But I thought that second call was really soft. I don't think Trevor Lewis has been the issue here. I think he's been fine. I think Brett Ritchie he's got a couple of goals, and Lucic is Lucic. I don't think that's been the problem. It's more, and I like that back, the only line that has truly been going in some way has been the Backlund, Mangiapane, Coleman line.
Yep.
And it's just, that's, Michael Backlund's doing everything he can. He's taking his game to another level, but he can't do this by himself.
Yeah, you're right. And I think you nailed it on the head. And that just comes back to the top players need to be top players. You're not going to have it every series, but they still have, it's you when the other team's top players are being top players, you do as well. If it's a grinded out series, kind of like last series against Dallas, where it was a little bit more of a win by committee, score by committee on both teams. But I think you have to, but in this series, you have to take the anything you can do, I can do better mentality with Connor McDavid. He scored, you go score too. That's the mentality you need to have. And it's not going to always work out that way. It's not that simple. But you need to have that mentality and focus. And as you said, I think there's been some laziness and lack of focus that's crept into their play because they're trying to be a little too they're trying to change they're trying to exchange chances with Edmonton, especially that top line. You can't do against the other lines. I think you've got a bit of a skill edge on, at least I think, on all other three lines, in my opinion. But when McDavid and Draisaitl, that line's on, you have to find a way to lock it down.
Yeah. Now, I guess I don't know how to ask this question or how to bring this up. When you see the frustrating part, I guess, to me with this, again, and I'm sort of repeating myself, I bring back history here, but you look back, Mario Lemieux completely dominated the Minnesota North Stars back in the Cup final in 91. It was Mario blew through everybody, and that was just an incredible playoff performance. And the Stars had no answer because they just didn't have the players to do it. For this, to me, that what's frustrating to me is that I do believe that as awesome as McDavid has been, I do believe that the Flames should be able to match this because of a Selke Trophy candidate, because you have Johnny Gaudreau, who we did put in a Hart Trophy conversation, and Matthew Tkachuk, who's insistent on making $8 million a year. And as much as that doesn't matter in the playoffs because you're not making money, he's still wanting $8 million a year. He's getting all this press because his brother and his father, his mom, his sister, and his entire family has joined him on a playoff tour. The expectation needs to be there, right? So, I that to me is what's frustrating me from that part. And I'm sorry to repeat myself on that again, but if we were like the LA Kings, if we're an LA Kings podcast and Connor McDavid was doing this and where the Kings are at, we're like, nothing we can do about this, man. It's just McDavid. This is a legit betting. People had Calgary Flames in the Cup final stuff here. This is Brad Treliving brought in pieces to make sure that the Flames got to the conference final to go on a deep run. This is not acceptable to me.
Yeah, you're in win now. You're in win now mode, and you've put yourself on the back foot against your regional rival, your provincial rival, and all it takes is one good game and get a win, and it's the series is tied, and you're down to a best of 3. So it's not something that needs to be. I think it's not the chances aren't dire at this point. But if you lose next game, you're on the ropes. So I think I think in summary, the Flames' top players need to step up. Markstrom needs to become the Vezina Trophy Vezina Trophy nominated goaltender that he was this past season. Lindholm needs to be the Selke nominee that we saw this season. Gaudreau needs to be the player he was. Tkachuk needs to be the player he was. Right now, they aren't.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, then when you have 2 award nominees, one who is in a conversation for the award, and another player who is will be high up in 2 of those award votings when we break it down, and they're not playing at the top of their game, and the other team's top players are. That's the difference. I mean, there's other things to look at for sure, Kev, in terms of coaching and details from other players and everything there. But when your top players aren't at the top of their game against the other team's top players, and they are, I don't think you're going to win many series, let alone games.
Nope.
So I think it's just that simple.
Yeah. I guess when we look at the defense here, I'm saving Lucic here for a minute. Okay, I guess we're playing the Tanev game. I'm honestly, just from what I've heard, I think we need to. It's I know there's prayer circles and thoughts and prayers. From my understanding, from what I've heard, Chris Tanev cannot shoot the puck. Like that, he is skating, but he can't shoot the puck. And I just don't think we're going to see him in this series. I am not God love him. I know he's trying, and I'm proud of that, but I just don't think we're going to see him. I think I really don't.
And this is where you need a player like a Rasmus Andersson or a Noah Hannafin to step up and be able to be a shutdown defenseman. Right now, they don't have. Right now, they're struggling to figure out who can do that for them.
Yeah, there has been miscommunication issues from the two for sure. Now, one thing that I am and I guess the one thing with Rasmus Andersson, you talk about learning to win in this league. I think one thing that we haven't, to be fair, the one thing that you look back at Darnell Nurse as an example. The Oilers have had playoff failures. They got the sweep against Winnipeg and that. But remember, Darnell Nurse during game 3 and 4 played over 40 minutes in that double, triple overtime game. Like he's had minutes of playoff experience. Rasmus Andersson is a number 1 D. He's learning how to be a number 1 D in the playoffs. This is an experience for him. And I don't think that we counted that into this, but he needs to be, I agree with you. He needs to be better. Noah Hannafin needs to be absolutely better. I'm surprised people are not talking about the fact that Eric Gudbranson has been playing 20 minutes a night.
I mean, I think again, that's who's stepping up into that top 4 role with Chris Tanev out. I think everyone understands that this is because of Chris Tanev being out.
Yeah. So I guess I proposed the idea to Devin about the idea of switching the pairs up. They switched the pairs up. They didn't switch in the way I was thinking because they went Gudbranson, Shillington, and Stone and Zadorov, and that didn't work. I had the idea of moving Shillington to the right side and going Shillington, Zadorov, and Gudbranson and Stone.
Who plays the left side with that Gudbranson Stone pair?
Stone, because he's done
Stone?
it before. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think this was the one issue I had with the Flames going into the playoffs is they didn't have a de facto like true number one defenseman. They have two really good top pair guys, but none in Hannafin and Rasmus Anderson this year. But both of them have stepped up big time into that role for the. I think Hannafin had a little bit of a taste of that down in Carolina, but not on a top end team at that point. So they're still learning. And then the depth was, I thought they would pick up at least one more, right? And when you're having to ship Valimaki back and forth because of everything, and you're relying on Michael Stone, who's played well, really well, but I don't know. I felt that there was just it wasn't. It felt like this could happen if an injury happened.
You need
there was no one. Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
There was it with an injury happened. There was no one that I felt. I think I would have felt comfortable with stepping up into a top four role, unless you're going to go way off the board and throw a Connor Mackey in there to see what happens. But that's not Daryl Sutter's way. You knew it was going to be Goodbranson, Zadorov stepping up, Michael Stone stepping in.
Yeah, especially when Tanev, like if sounds weird how to say this. If Anderson went down, I don't think like as bad. It's not as bad because you still have Tanev, but you need 8. I really do believe you need 8 defensemen on a long playoff run. Like you really do. Like because the injuries happen, and as Dan talked about it when he was on with us, the Flames had some good luck injury wise all year. Like they didn't have anybody out. Like I'm sure they had injuries, but they didn't have anyone out for a really long period of time. They had Shillington out for a little bit, and you knew that injury bug was going to come. Like it was bound to happen. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I think from Treleaven's perspective, I guess you would have wanted to address. And I think that in the off, I mean, just to put a bug in the off season, I wonder where they're at with Juuso Valimaki, because what I have heard, I think there may have been another defenseman in Stockton that may have passed him. So
another one on top of Connor Mackey.
Yep.
Who's passed him?
There's a 30-year-old player named Kevin Gouda that I think I've read that some people were like, if the Flames need to go to 8, he might be the one that might come up instead of Valimaki.
Man, talk about he's like 30 years old, and I have no idea who he is. Like normally, I can pick and choose these guys, like be able to that kind of rings a bell.
His name, but there's like it sounds like Valimaki's skating isn't where it's not where it needs to be at this point. That's what I'm hearing. Could be wrong, but that I guess in the off season, that's something that's going to have to be a future off season conversation. We're not there yet. It's only 2-1 Edmonton, but you really do need 8. I think you have to plan for 8 defensemen in the playoffs, like for a deep playoff run. I don't like and unfortunately,
Kevin Gravel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
I know him. There we go. That makes me feel a little bit better.
I mispronounced his name. Good thing I'm the. Yeah.
He was part of the. He's been around. He was part of the Kings for a bit. The Kings organization for a bit. 2 stints with the Oilers organization. Played with the Marlies for a bit too. So he's been around.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess the other thing that has been the big talking point at this point, and maybe this will build here because so Milan Lucic, Mike Smith, Lucic hit Mike Smith. That's fair to say. He did hit Mike Smith. He got 5 minutes in a game. No supplemental discipline. Oiler fans are irate with this, demanding. Well, in some ways, some are either demanding sweet gestures or fine. Let Milan Lucic play. That's punishment enough for the Flames. They're saying. From the Flames' perspective, it looked like a hit, but some are saying not 5, not suspension. For me, hit. It was a hit. I still don't think it was the smartest play from Lucic. I think but looking at it again, I think he tried to hold up. I don't think there needed to be anything more than what happened. I don't think that there needed to be any supplemental discipline. I don't think there needed to be any fine. I just leave it. And I think the compliment here probably is to the refs, because that would have, if you, sorry, I know you're looking for fireworks, but the refs are not wanting fireworks, and they calm the situation down.
If you want fireworks, go watch or listen to the beginning of this episode.
Are you saying I should clip that?
On it, the way I look at it is, if that happened earlier on in the game and the score was closer, I don't think that gets 5. Like, if it's a 1-goal game or a tie game, even a 2-goal game, I'd say it's still probably it gets 2. I think that was more game management, making sure that, yes, it didn't go off the tracks. So, but Smith sold it.
He did.
And if you're gonna go anywhere near him, if you breathe, he's gonna fall down, right?
Yeah. That's the thing that frustrates me, is you got to know that, right?
But in the other way, like, it's such a tough fine line to play with that. You still have to put your best effort forward, and if you're not going in for a puck that's free, which it was, then why are you out there on the ice? So, I agree with you. I think Lucic did try and hold up. If Lucic was actually going in to hit Mike Smith, I think Lucic put it right. Neither of them would be playing next game, because Smith would be done and Lucic would be suspended for the rest of the playoffs. If Lucic wanted to actually hit him, he would. It would have been. That would have been ridiculous. Like, he definitely did not. He definitely did not mean to. He didn't want to hit. He didn't want to take that penalty. He didn't want to knock Mike Smith down. He just was going for the puck.
Yeah. I guess to me, the sort of the unfortunate part here is I thought the Flames were building something to take into the next game. They weren't going to come back and win. I wasn't they were down 4. I think that was, but they were getting somewhere. And, really, you even look back at the first period just to put some positive on this. They had a couple of chances. They were getting outshot, but Mangiapane was in all alone, missed the net. Goodrow had an opportunity, missed the net. I don't know. Mike Smith, to me, he's playing well and he's playing better than Markstrom. But from a technical point of view, I'm no Kevin Woodley, but the way he makes some of these saves, he's making the saves. I'll give him that. And that's all that matters, I guess. But I still think that from the Flames perspective, I still think Smith is beatable. I really do. I just, Devin and I talked about this. We know Smith is going to be good enough to win some games, but he will cough it up and he will give up a bad goal. He will. I'm still believing in that. You just still could get high shot volume on him. I still believe that. I really do. But you have to take advantage of the opportunities, and you have to play better. Just plain and simple. And you cannot buy a ticket and watch Connor McDavid. You need to play him.
Yeah, but getting back to the Lucic smithing, I think if I was the Flames, I'd be pissed that it was a 5. But I think if you step back, I think it's, as a game management call, I think it's fine. And then the lack of any supplemental, I think is spot on as well.
Yeah.
That to me, that was just a hockey play that went wrong, in my opinion. And those can happen. I wouldn't call it dirty. I wouldn't even call it reckless. He was just going in for the puck. And this is where, if it was a defenseman, that's not even a fucking call.
Yeah.
Like, it's always because he's a goaltender. Oh, you can't touch the goaltender at all, even if they're out there playing the puck, putting and everything there. Like, I think I don't think you should be able to run a goaltender. I think their intent, you have to have a good idea on the intent of the player going in there. But I don't think there was anything other than just going in for the forecheck.
Yeah. I agree. The other thing I really didn't like is I wish there was a way, like, everybody's on top of Smith and Lucic and fighting each other. Just fine, you're going to push and shove, but push and shove not on top of these two guys. Like, someone's going to knee, and that will create more of it. That may have created more of an injury than the actual hit. That, I wish there was a way, okay, let's fight over here while they're trying to get up over here, maybe just to avoid potential neck injuries. But,
in the heat of the moment,
you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like that would be like trying to stop you in the middle of your rant from the beginning here.
Yeah, I was in the heat of a moment, right? I don't know what much else to say. I guess in terms of the officiating, I feel like they are managing the game. I feel like they are not wanting it to get out of hand. That is my observation. Because I think that there have been soft calls both ways in this series. There was a Backlund tripping call of McDavid that I thought was soft. In game 2, there were 2 plays before the Warren Foegele call that I was like, that's more of a penalty than what is going on than what the Warren Foegele penalty was. And I'm like, well, that's soft. There was I thought a Duncan Keith interference call in the game 1 was pretty soft. I think that they've been trying to say, okay, we're trying to manage the game.
Yeah, I think that's and what was all the talk going into this? We hoped for chaos. We hoped for crazy 80s style and everything, right? So I think they're just trying to keep it between the whistles as much as possible, which I get. But I think if you're complaining that there's been a couple soft calls either way, I think they've been the officiating has been close to fair and solid throughout. If that's all you're.
Yeah. To me, anyway, yeah. Okay, so Dylan has a question for you here. Interesting. Sean Abitigo referred to Leon Draisaitl as a top 10 player.
I mean, he is. I think there's the talk that he's like top 5 or top 3 is where I draw the line. He's an Art Ross Trophy winner. He's a Hart Trophy winner. He scored 50. That's better than. I don't think you can find 10 players who have that in the league.
His offensive intelligence is way up there.
If we're just talking offensive abilities, he is top 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
But when you throw everything else and they get into it and you include defensemen and everything like that, that's why where he drops down for me.
Yeah. Just the way he gets himself open for that one timer is one of the most I took some heat from Oilers because from a certain Oilers player, cough cough, Jim Mathis, talking about Johnny Gaudreau being the best passer. Leon Draisaitl is probably one of the best players in the league of getting himself open. Like, it is, at one point you're watching and then all of a sudden, oh, there's Leon. He just finds a way to. He's one of the best at doing that. Like, so, yeah, for sure. And that's something just to toss it in here. I wonder if that's something I was thinking about Pedersen PD last night, and I think that's something that he can pick up from Draisaitl, because there's some similarities there where he can get himself open for that one. He wants that one timer similar to Draisaitl in that same spot. There's some things he can pick up from that for sure.
Well, if we're going to talk about that, there's a lot more too that he needs to work on.
Well, for sure, absolutely.
It's a willingness to shoot is something that Leon Draisaitl has.
Yeah,
that's something that has been missing from PD's game.
Yeah. And Dylan, he's just he's not letting me this Jan Kroper thing go. So whatever.
I mean, I don't blame him. That wasn't a good comparison.
Okay, yeah, sometimes a brilliant man makes a mistake every once in a while. Anything else specific to this series that we need to talk about? We're getting a question about who takes aim for. I'm not going to make a prediction. I just
I'll make it. I think the Flames bounce back.
Okay.
I think that was a wake-up call.
I hope you're right. I really do. So
I think you will see a bounce back here, and I think Markstrom's starting to feel his game again a little bit more. I don't, as you said, I think especially last game, he got let out to dry hung out to dry on a couple of those goals.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's I'll go out on a limb. I'll say the Flames bounce back.
Okay. All right. The other story in Calgary today, and this was been reported for some time, but the Flames made it official, is the Stockton Heat are moving from California to Calgary. They will become the Calgary somethings.
I'm pretty sure it'll still be the Heat.
I am 95% certain of that, and it would make sense because it's the Flames, but the Calgary Heat, Calgary is getting...
If they're going to change it, it needs to just become Blasty.
The Calgary Blasties. Yeah.
The Calgary Blasties. And then you just wear the Blasty jersey down in the A.
Or the Calgary Cowboys, which is a touchback to some old Calgary tradition.
I'd love to see those jerseys back.
Yeah.
Those are good jerseys.
Yeah. So the Stockton is moving to Calgary. So the next question has been, where is everyone going to play? You're there. I'm in Burnaby. So I'm going to somewhat get your perspective on this. My read on this is they're closer on this arena part than maybe we are thinking. Is that a read that I can make?
I think it's a little too complicated for that, honestly, because not only with a new arena, we'll still have to have Flames games, Hitmen games, Roughnecks games, and now an AHL team. So my guess is they're going to play up in Winsport at COP.
The Heat are.
That's where the Heat will. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll split games at the Dome and up in Winsport, because I think it just I think that building size is better for them, and again there's already 3 tenants in there at the Dome. There's not enough time out there for everyone, let alone who's the big dog in that. It's the Flames.
Yeah.
They need practice time. They need they need to have access to the arena. They will get all. So I think it's going to be. I think I honestly think it's going to be win sport.
How's the transit up there?
It's all right. There is transit out there, but I think it's just that's where at least until they figure out if they can make another smaller arena, because I honestly think they need to do that here. Either that or just completely, they need to revamp Max Bell. Honestly,
that was my next question. Is what about Max Bell? Is that an option
I don't
anybody?
think it's big enough.
Because to me, that would make sense to Hitman to play. Either the Hitman should be playing at Max Bell.
Well, you see, they're playing. The Hitmen are currently splitting time between the Dome and the Seven Chiefs Sports Center, sports complex in down on the Tessina Reserve. So I think they'll continue doing that, and then you throw in majority of the games for the AHL Heat at Winsport, and then at the Dome, and then you've got Roughnecks at the Dome as well. I think that's all they can really do. But if you're bringing in an AHL team, to me that signals that they're going to be looking at another smaller arena. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah,
and it might be out just outside the city limits, and like an Airdrie or Okotoks. Maybe on the Tessina Reserve will build a bigger arena. So,
but this is for this upcoming year. If you don't have an arena, I mean, you got to figure. Well,
that's what I said. I think it's going to be Winsport.
Yeah, for this year. Yeah,
upcoming will be either there. Or yeah, I think it will be Winsport for the most part of it, or they've got to deal with Seven Chiefs as well. That could be it. That could be it. The short-term plan.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I guess the other question will be how the broadcasting rights go and who's going to be covering it. I mean, you're going to want to have a lot of eyes on this. I mean, I think it's a very, just to put this into a Vancouver Abbotsford perspective, I think for the Flames, this is great. You get your players, you can get them called up really quickly. You can get your management team to watch closely, and you can also add some really good profiles and to some of these players that we don't get to see all that often. It's going to be a great thing. So the broadcasting situation, I think, will also be interesting on where I'm assuming radio rights will go to 960, but TV is where I don't think we'll
see TV.
I wonder if they do Flames TV. I wonder if we can see them on Flames.
Calgary. I don't think they can do that. I think that the
it would have to be AHL.com.
AHL has their own digital rights, so
yeah.
I think I don't think we'll see it, at least to start. I hope I'm wrong, because that'll give us more hockey to watch, and then maybe I'll get they'll be in the same division as the Abbey Canucks, and I'll have more opportunity to watch them.
Yeah,
but unless Sportsnet or TSN or someone, I don't know who has the AHL rights up in Canada right now. Is it TSN?
Sportsnet has carried Marley's games.
Okay.
Well,
what I hope for is I just hope maybe those two can work together to maybe get a regional deal and get more games on TV. But I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah. I think TSN had the Manitoba Moose because they had the Winnipeg Jets rights. To me, I had my rant, but just the way, like the fact that how hard it is to get AHL hockey is silly to me. But
I think the other thing is it's the way things are going too on digitally.
Yeah.
If you want to watch English Premier League, you have to have an app. And for the last few years, it's been DAZN, and it's going to be changing for next year. So I think it is what it is what it is. Unfortunately, until you have the full on like demand for the demand, which I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think it's there right now. It's not going to get terrestrial broadcast rights, at least
Yeah.
on the TV side.
Yeah, I would tend to,
Or at least not a big one. Maybe at least make sure that there's a few games available on like SportsCenter TSN. I think would be at least a good start. And I don't think the Canucks had that this past season.
I don't recall being able to see one Abbotsford Canuck game.
So I think that if they can get that, that's a win.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, it's exciting because I can't wait to go out and watch games. I'll try and get out to as many Calgary Heat versus Abbotsford Canucks games as possible next season for sure.
Yeah. I think it'll be great for the city. Just something else for them to, something else to watch. Another good economic driver. We talked about this before the Battle of Alberta. Just opportunities for the city to just get the economy going again. I think is just it's both in Calgary and in Edmonton. Honestly, I hope Bakersfield moves closer to Edmonton. I think that would be great too. Like, just have that all in one nice little round triangular way. I think would be great for Edmonton too.
Yep.
So, yeah. But so good news there on that. To toss it, we'll touch on the other series here. Bye,
Florida.
The Florida Panthers are out. Another President's Trophy winner bites the dust as the Tampa Bay Lightning, to the frustration of many Leaf fans, have swept the Florida Panthers because now they're believing if we played the Florida Panthers, they would have won. But just from Tampa's perspective, they are doing all of the things that are asking the Calgary Flames, and what we learning how to win. They just know how to do it. One guy goes, Brandon Hagel goes out for a while. Out comes Steven Stamkos from an injury. He's back out there. Eric Chernak goes down. Another guy comes popping up. Andrei Vasilevsky has been incredible in goal. I know that people are in absolute love with Cale Makar, and they should be, but do not forget Victor Hedman. He is a phenomenal defenseman. Don't forget, he's just been unbelievable. They did this without Braden Point, who is just a consummate playoff performer. They had 2 goals disallowed tonight. They were outshot badly, and they just find ways to win. It is damn impressive from their perspective.
They did it without Braden Point too this series. It's damn impressive, and again, it speaks volumes about how different it is regular season to playoffs. You can be a top end team in the regular season, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to how to win in the playoffs, and that can change year to year. But how many President's Trophy teams have won the cup? Not many.
The last one for a full regular season was the 2008 Detroit Red Wings. The 2013 Chicago Blackhawks won in that shortened season. And then the last one to go to the finals was the 2011 Canucks.
Yeah.
So
but
it's
just such a tough, what makes the Stanley Cup such a tough trophy to win.
Yep.
It's I still think that the President's Trophy should be something that is celebrated more than it currently is, because it's an 82 game grind, and you should be able to celebrate that you finished first in the conference, first in the league, and without being mocked for it because you didn't win the cup. I think there should be a separation of those two. But once you get into the playoffs, it's a different animal. And if you don't have, if your top players aren't your top players, if your goalie isn't at the top of their game, it's very tough, especially if you're playing up against a Tampa Bay Lightning.
I think with the Panthers, though, a couple of things that I think were kind of my concern with them, just from them as a perspective, to take the President's Trophy out just for a second. The fact that they had so many comebacks to win, like 3-goal, like everyone was getting impressed by that, but there was probably some more red flags out there than there should have, to me. Don't know if they had that particular defensive structure that I think you do need to win in the finals. I mean, offensively, they were damn impressive. But just defensively, I don't think that they were as impressive as they needed to be. And Tampa, and again, it is hard to win, but that's just, I think that Florida maybe played a little bit over their head for the most part this year. Like you look at Colorado, they're as complete as a team as, it's hard to find a flaw in a Colorado Avalanche, like really is. But with Florida, I just think there was a lot of flaws that they were able to mask with goals. And
they were a big team. They were a rough team. They knew how to score, but their defense was something that, as you said, was masked by being able to score. Since what are the stats? Something like since the Cap era, they're the highest scoring team.
Yeah.
In the NHL, which is crazy. And then they get shut out in Game 4, and but you're also playing against the team that has gone through this, struggled to learn how to win, and now has figured it out.
Yeah.
Also we talk about Igor Shesterkin as like the next not the next best goalie in the NHL, but man, Vasilevsky when he's on is,
oh my gosh,
so good. And then you've got Victor Hedman, Norris Trophy winner. You've got a former 60-goal scorer in Steven Stamkos. Apparently not a superstar, Nikita Kucherov. And
I want to bring something up with him though. When we talked about great passers, when I put that whole tweet, I forgot him. He is a great passer.
Yeah,
he is such a good passer. Holy smokes,
mm-hmm. He's such a good offensive player.
He is. I'm not saying he's not a great player. I just don't. I think unfortunately people don't go, hey, I need to go watch Nikita Kucherov. You should go watch Nikita Kucherov. You really should, but that's my point. Anyway,
I don't think people say that about Leon Draisaitl because they've got Connor McDavid.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think someone. I think there's a certain sports station that may need to tell them that the Leon Draisaitl is actually on the ice in the intermission.
So,
help the host to do a poem about him. Anyway.
But yeah, I think this is just another one, and I think they need to look at what they can do on the blue line and defensive structure a little bit better going into next season for the Florida Panthers.
I'm going to toss a name out as a head coach. I'm just going to toss Barry Trotz into that mix. I wonder.
Did they extend Andrew Brunette this season?
They've made no decision on him yet. He's still an interim coach.
And he's nominated for the Jack Adams, and he might not have a job next year. Oof. Jack Adams is such a cursed trophy.
I know.
I don't know. I have a suspicion that they'll stick with Brunette because I don't know if their ownership will want to shell out more big money for a coach when they still have Quenneville on the books.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's my only question.
Yeah, but from Florida, it sounds terrible. It sounds you got swept, but I don't think you need to panic. You still got a pretty good team there. You still got you got an MVP candidate who did not have a great playoff in Jonathan Huberdeau. You got a potential Selke / Hart Trophy, best all-around player in the game in Barkov, who didn't have a great series. They have to learn to win, same as everybody else.
No, I don't think anyone realizes how good Aaron Ekblad is. I think he's playing hurt.
Yeah, he was hurt,
which didn't help. But people don't realize how good he is. He's a good anchor on there. I just think they need to get a little faster on that blue line. I think.
Yeah.
And then Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight should be a good enough tandem in net.
Yeah, Bobrovsky had some moments. He made some big saves. He allowed some bad goals.
Mm-hmm.
He just wasn't Vasilevsky. Yeah. The other series that is catching a lot of controversy is, and specifically, well, let's start. Kadri, Nazem Kadri, Jordan Binnington. As far as the actual play in question, again, there was no supplemental discipline. Was it a bad play? Yes. I just hate the fact that he is dealing with this rate. Kadri is dealing with this garbage with threats and racism and all of this. To me, with Kadri, there's two truths here. I think that Kadri is a player that plays with an edge, and he has at times crossed the line, in my opinion, over the years. But that's no excuse for the treatment that he has gotten off the ice. I don't think that that's fair. I've actually liked Kadri a lot this year. Don't forget McKinnon was out for most of the year, for a good chunk of the year, and Kadri just took right off. Yeah, you can argue that he was a UFA. Excuse me, but he, I think he's been great for the most part this year, and I don't think he deserved. He absolutely doesn't deserve the off ice abuse that he has gotten. Binnington, I am perplexed at the fact that this guy's how do you how on earth, if he threw a water bottle at Kadri, how do you not get some sort of supplemental discipline?
I don't know. It's hilarious. It's going to go down in NHL lore for sure. But man, is there a more petty and just grumpy player in the league right now
than Jordan
than
Binnington?
Jordan Binnington?
He's a younger version of Mike Smith. He's a guy that can win you. He pretty much kept them in game one. But man, he just pops off the handle way too easily to me to be trustworthy.
Well, he's now out of the series.
Yeah.
Right? So they're now on to Ville Husso, who's been fantastic for them this year. So I think that's whoever Husso struggled in the first series. Binnington got the net and played well enough to keep the net, but now Husso's got redemption opportunities. I don't think it's a downgrade at all for St. Louis. And talk about the team that's well constructed, and there's tough to find a hole in that roster too.
Yeah.
I think the reason a lot of people are taking Colorado again in that series is because they've got they've got the superstars. They've got McKinnon, they've got Makar. Losing Girard's gonna hurt. Not as much as a broken sternum, though. Oh
yeah, and that was a clean hit. It was not a dirty play at all. No need, nothing. It's just that was an unfortunate injury.
Yeah, but but when you look at that, and I think they will still. Colorado should pull this out, but St. Louis is going to give them everything that they can. And last time I checked, they were up 1-0 tonight. So
Colorado just tied it at 1.
Okay, but they're going to give them everything. So But this is also them understanding that Colorado needing to learn how to win the playoffs. They haven't gotten past the second round yet, and that's if they get past in St. Louis, and they're going to have Calgary or Edmonton. It's going to be a hell of a series.
Yeah. I was the one that I stuck with St. Louis on this one, but this is going to be a long series for sure. And then the other one, Carolina Rangers. I think people are longing for the days of yore when Calgary was playing Dallas, and that really exciting series, because this one has been hard to watch. If I'm being, I think I'm even being polite. It's been hard to watch. The Game 3 one was a bit better, but Tyler Mott got a goal, former Canuck. I think he popped one in the empty net there, and the home team has won this series. Carolina 6-0 on home ice, 0-4 on the road.
It's quite the stat. Like there's always the saying that the series hasn't really started until someone wins on the road. It's not for Carolina.
Yeah. They haven't had a series start yet by that argument. Yeah. There's not been much to say about that Carolina Rangers series. It's been a slow series, and I think that's what Carolina wants. That's the type of hockey that they play. But yeah, it's not been as entertaining as the other three series.
No, it hasn't. I haven't watched too much of it, but there's in the Battle of Florida, you had the shock sweep, and then in tonight's game, every goal got disallowed except one. And then you've got the Binnington Kadri incident, let alone just there's storylines there, and then there's also Battle of Alberta has been just completely crazy at times. So it's definitely the Carolina Rangers series has definitely lagged in that. And come on, pick it up. I want something. Oh, other than what happened at the end there, like where the I think it's the Carolina crowd going after Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah, the Rangers crowd going after Tony DeAngelo. He is not. He does not have many friends in the National Hockey League.
Nope.
But he leads the Hurricanes in scoring, which I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, just a couple of we'll quickly, and then we'll get to the Canucks here. Mark Giordano took a pay cut to stay with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, not just a little bit of a pay cut. $800,000 for Mark Giordano a year to stick around in Toronto. I guess he believes in the Dubas Keefe Shanahan vision, and happy to stay in Toronto, and good on him.
Yeah, he probably does, but that signals moves on the blue line for the Maple Leafs, because that's you got Riley, Muzzin, and Giordano on the left side right now, and then you need room for Sandin. You need to do something with Justin Holl. So
I know what Leaf fans want to do with Justin Holl.
Oh, he's getting traded for sure.
Yeah,
but I think we're going to see something move there, because like on the right side you've got Lil Chagrin. Is he ready for a top 4 role? And then you've got TJ Brody.
Yeah.
So you've got Labushkin and who else on that right side? But
3-1 Colorado, by the way.
Jeez, go Colorado! Wow. You've got Labushkin, Hull, Brody, and Lil Chagrin on the right side. Then you've got Sandin, Giordano, Riley, and Muzzin on the right. Sorry. Ugh. But yeah, they've got to move someone. Lyubushkin's a UFA. Sandin and Liljegren are RFA, so I wonder if one of them doesn't come back. I know the Canucks have been interested in Liljegren, and I think he'd be a good pickup for them if he's available, but I don't think he will be. I think if they move either of those two, it's going to be Rasmus Sandin.
Yeah, I would think so.
Let alone, what are you going to do with net?
Yeah, that's the bigger question, eh? Yeah.
But yeah, bringing Giordano back, which he's likely going to be. I wonder if they're going to try and move Jake Muzzin.
Yeah, I think there will be some teams that are looking for some veteran defensemen there. 33 at 5.6 till 25.
2 more years. It's not ideal. If he had 1 year left, I think it'd be an easier sell, but I think you might be able to find someone who wants him.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be a fascinating offseason in there for sure in Toronto. Brian Rust signed 6 years, $30 million in Pittsburgh. Ron Hextall today said that they have had conversations with Malkin and Letang, and the intention is obviously they want to sign both of them to retire. Russ took a deal. I think he probably would have got more in the open market, and that was a guy I think the Canucks would have been interested to see the Canucks go after him.
I don't think they would have gone after him.
He probably would have been out of their price range. I think
he's
ultimately
30 years old. The Canucks have been talking about making sure that they're getting younger.
Yeah, fair. I'm surprised he's 30. I've always thought he was always a little bit younger, but 6 years, $30 million. He'll probably retire a Penguin.
Yeah.
There, and Rick Bowness steps down. I'm not super surprised at that. Elliot Friedman mentioned that there was a talk of a possible coaching change, and they were looking at Rick Tocchet in midseason. They just couldn't get it done. I would imagine that might be revisited. They're talking about Mark Savard. Dallas would, if I was a coach, there's a lot to like in Dallas. I mean, it's going to depend on what you're paying Jake Ottinger and what happens with him, where he's at. Jason Robertson, Roope Hintz, I think you've got some really good pieces there. Mira Heiskanen, I think he's a great defenseman. There are some really good pieces there, but there are also some big decisions that need to be made there too.
They got John Klingberg needs a new deal, and he's a UFA, so that's huge. And then, you've got Jason Robertson's an RFA, so he's going to need something. Ottinger's an RFA. Both of them aren't arbitration eligible, so that's helpful for them. But I think it's you look at that, and you've got Thomas Harley coming up. So if Klingberg's gone, there's someone who can step up and be a puck moving defenseman for you. And then they've got Radulov's coming off the books as well. I don't think they'll re-sign him. He's 35. He was a healthy scratch at some point in the points in the playoffs. Guryanov is going to be an interesting one. He's an RFA with Arbrights.
He was a healthy scratch too. A couple during the playoffs too.
He's got at least one or two more levels to get to as a player. But can they get a deal done for him? He's coming off a 2.55 2-year contract. I think he's probably going to be looking for. He might be trying to gun for up over in the 3.5 range, but I think that'd be tough. But there is a lot to like there.
Yeah, there is. And then with the Canucks, some news came out this weekend. Scott Walker, Kyle Gustafson, and Daryl Seward will not be coming back as assistant coaches. Walker, it's a personal decision. I think he wants to stay out east, and I also think, of course, remember he had vertigo and he had to take some time away. Gustafson is in the conversation to be the Spokane Chiefs WHL head coach, so Seward was the one that I think is the only one that was technically, and I use air quotes, let go. I think the other two were more decision. That was either mutual decisions or personal decisions. But I don't think that this is a surprise. I think we were expecting some new assistant coaches anyway, so I'm not surprised by that.
No, I wasn't surprised. I think they wanted to change things up there for sure, and unfortunately, it did have Scott Walker just didn't see what Devin was never able to fit in just because of everything that went on, and I think he did. And then was it Gustafson's in line for the Spokane Chiefs job in the WHL, so I think that might have been also mutual. And then they just, I wonder if they think that you don't necessarily need a video coach, a per se video coach, as long as all your other coaches are using it. And I'm pretty sure Bradshaw is uses video a lot. So as long as you have the right team behind clipping things properly, which I'm pretty sure you can hire the right people to do that, then I don't think there's a reason to have just a full on just video coach.
Yeah, I think that will be interesting how they use what they use there. So, but, and, I and you got Rachel Dory there, who's in for analytics. She might be doing some video work as well. So there's probably a lot of different ways that you can do that. I don't know if they replace all three. I think that's what you're saying. I could see them coming back with maybe two different ones, but I don't see.
I think at most they bring back one. They bring in one other person.
I think that's what I said. At most, it's probably going to be one. At most, two. I don't think they're bringing back three replacements. I just don't see that. Yeah.
They didn't, in the press release. There wasn't anything about maybe adding another one. So I haven't heard anything yet. So I don't think it's. I think they're probably quite happy going into the season with Bradshaw, basically the defensive coach, and Jason King, the forwards coach, and you got Bruce leading the way.
Yep. Bruce, there it is. Anything else we want to discuss here?
No. Apparently Kadri's living rent free in St. Louis's head, and hopefully the Flames can bounce back, because even though I'm a Canucks fan, I just want 7 games out of this series.
Yeah, I'm cheering for the Flames, and I have hope for that as well. And you made the pick, so we'll trust you. By the way, Oil Kings leading the Winnipeg Ice 2-1 midway through the third. If you have an opportunity, check out that series that's going on in between Battle of Alberta in Edmonton for this week. So, two of the best teams in the CHL. Check that out. Anyway, that I just wanted to toss that in there. But we'll leave it here. We'll be back on Wednesday to recap whatever happens in Game 4 between the Flames and the Oilers. And by the way, who does our music, Sean? I always forget to remind everyone.
Lodgepole Kind. Go give him a follow on Spotify and download the music. It's really good.
Yes. And how do we follow you?
I am Beardy Connect 03 on Twitter.
All right, and Devin Gordhow 09, Tyler TNOBLE, Christian Schneids SCHNEIDZ, I am KEVOLE, Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Also give Fireside Chat a follow, as well as they're recording tonight as well. Their podcast will be up. They'll be recapping all three of the games as well. I'm sure Dan will be positive. Matt will be cynical. That's the preview. But thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.